Now it should work. Better freaking work. There we go. Okay, that's that. I have to go here, here. Okay, should be up now. We should be good to go. I'm not sure. Oh, hold on. And this, I gotta do it. I gotta turn off my camera here. And then I could turn it on here, possibly, potentially. There we go. There's my ugly face. All right, so we got that. All right, so now we should have both of our faces showing. Like I said, consummate professional.
You're using your second laptop right now?
Oh, yeah. We're doubling up. All right. All right, this ought to do it. I can do this. Okay, so now my face is showing, your face is showing. The feed is healthy. Or at least it's claiming it's healthy. We're about to find out if it is or not. So I could do... Alright, we should be good to go. Alright, people are starting to fill in now. That's excellent.
Cool.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Everyone's starting to fill in now. Good, 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 good. I've got to... I could do that. Okay, I could take that off. Okay, beautiful. And now we... Hold on. There's that. I could delete that. Alright, excellent. This is a big one, y'all. This is a big one. We're talking trade deadline targets today. Or trade targets for tomorrow. You tell me. I'm down to take anything at this point because the Rangers need freaking help.
That is true.
And this is going to be the best way to get it.
Everything. They need everything.
We need everything, and we need everything right now. I totally forgot to plug in my headset. Oh, there. Do I want to go? We're gonna go simple today. We're gonna go the old Apple headphones today. That's how we're gonna do this.
Ooh.
That way my voice sounds a little bit more crisp, a little bit more Krispy Kreme. There we go. How do I sound?
Sound good, man.
Beauty. There we
Nice.
go. Now we're looking good. Now everything's setting up. The people are filling in. Talking some ranges is my favorite thing to do, dude. You know how much I love doing this stuff. Especially drawing up mock trades, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. My
when we
absolute
know
favorite.
they're not gonna happen.
A man can dream, I was once told.
Whatever like enzyme that rushes through your system, it's like the I don't even know, dopamine. Yeah, like when you see like Patrick Kane rumored to go to the Rangers.
Woo! Hey, he's one of them. We're gonna get to some PK in the membrane here in a minute.
I'll try to. I know you want to get it done before before game time. So there's a bunch on here that I'm just gonna be like, nope,
Dude.
nope. That's it.
Smell ya, get him out. On to the next one. Thanks for coming. Alright, so I got this. Now I could share. And I could post a proper stream online. So now people could actually use a join link. That's not going to send them some Fortnite live stream. I don't know why that happened. Alrighty. Boom, 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 boom. God, I am the slowest typer in the world. Dude, that traffic was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I've never seen an 18-wheeler, like, take a 6-point turn like that in the middle of traffic. The guy could not be bothered less.
Was it an accident?
Well, sorry. So, there was an accident first, and then that was on 45, which is the main highway from my school to get to my little suburb. Not my little suburb, my little town. And it was like a beautiful, it had to be a brand new Charger, rear-ended the shit out of a Jeep. So the Jeep had like a metal back, so the Jeep was fine. But that Charger, dude, holy hell, took a beating. The front of the car, it didn't even look like a Charger, the front of the car.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, it was ugly. That looked like a a few $1,000s of worth of accident right there. That broke my heart for the poor guy. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's such an L. I genuinely feel bad for the guy. But all right, how are we looking here? We got we got a handful of people in here. So let's just cover the basics, right? We're gonna jump into it. We're gonna jump into it nice and slow. So as you guys know, and I feel like a broken record. I'm saying it again, but my favorite thing to do is draw up mock trades. And how do I draw up mock trades? What's my method? All right, as an absolute loser hockey fan, what is my method? Well, my method is hockey fans are awful at assessing trades, myself included. So what do? I draw from historical data. I figure out, well, this guy, everyone says he's going to get 2 first-round picks, he's going to get a prospect, he's going to get my left nut, and he's going to get my brother all in the same deal. Well, it's not going to happen. The realism is the NHL is a very consistent league in terms of what happens. Free agents typically sign for less than people say they're going to get. Players usually, they don't get acquired for as much as we nearly think, so we use historical data, historical trades, and we figure out, well, what's the middle ground? In this slideshow here, some of them I have a couple mock trades, some of them I just have a main one, and we kind of just draw conclusions and help us paint a better picture for what a trade would look like if these players were acquired at the deadline. There's only one exception I made for a player that was not a deadline acquisition. I'm not going to say who it is because it's a surprise. It's one of the few players I threw on this list that I have maybe 1% faith is even a possibility for the Rangers, but I want to throw him in there for fun. That wasn't a deadline acquisition. It was an all-season acquisition, but we're going to mock it up as if he was traded at the deadline, which affects the pieces that are involved. Steve Dangle makes his trade tree videos, and he describes efficiency, if not through the winning of Stanley Cups, but through games played. So you got to realize this too. NHL GMs and owners, everyone wants to win, but if you're getting players that are suiting up for games and filling a role from you anywhere up and down the lineup, that is considered some sort of a success. And if you're getting a season and a half out of a player against having 2 full seasons, well, you're not going to have to give up as much to get that player. There's a big difference in a player playing 164 games for you and a player playing between 100 and 110 games. Those 60 games make a pretty big difference. For example, let's just get into the right one right now because the first one right now because the first 10 trade targets are, I don't want to say mediocre, but aren't going to make or break a team. They're just going to help you out in the depth. So just hopping right into it, Sean Monahan, right? So Sean Monahan, the second he was acquired by the Montreal Canadiens, an upcoming unrestricted free agent, he was not expected at all to make or break the Canadiens. He was expected to be flipped at the deadline because honestly, nobody really had very much faith in the Montreal Canadiens going into the season, and it certainly showed. I got to double check right now on the NHL app, but I want to say the Montreal Canadiens, I believe, are 28th in the NHL. So in other words, they're going nowhere, and they're going nowhere fast. Just to double check my game notes. I was way off. They're 19th. Oh, hold on. They're tied for 20th. All right. Point percentage are 25th. So they're going nowhere fast. So in other words, the Montreal Canadiens are going to be sellers at the trade deadline. So a guy like Sean Monahan, for example, the way this is set up, I have little quick hits, numbers about the players, so you guys could assess, make your own assumptions. Their contract, what they could provide for the team, their individual stats, this and the other thing. And then right below that, we have the historical comparison. Who we could pit them against and why they would make sense and what the Rangers would potentially offer for that player. So right off the rip here, just looking at Sean Monahan, we're just going to run through it super fast for this guy because I don't see him as likely. I just kind of threw him in there as a baseline. So Sean Monahan, you have your J Fresh card on the right. It's basically projected WAR, how they perform at even strength, power play, penalty kill, how they finish. Goals per 60, primary assists. Do they draw a lot of penalties? Do they take a lot of penalties? What's their competition? So the competition number is how good is the competition they're playing against. So, for example, Sean Monahan's 19% competition. He's not playing against other teams' top defensemen or top shutdown forwards lines. He's mostly playing against middle and bottom 6 forwards. And his teammates, that's his usage of the teammates. I'm sorry, that's actually the teammates that are around him, the quality of teammates around him. So he's playing on a shitty line, playing against shitty players, for lack of a better word. Monahan's numbers, 14 points in 21 games so far this season. He's 54.6% in the dot. His Corsi 4 at even strength, which means Corsi is essentially shots on goal for and shots on goal against. He's on the ice for more shots on goal for than he is against. He averages 2.3 points per 60 minutes. What that means is for every 60 minutes he plays, he generates 2.3 points. He's middle 6 scoring depth. I think if we do acquire Sean Monahan, again, this is just a maybe, that it would move Philip Hedl to the wing. Not a knock on Hedl and the way he plays hockey, but he's probably more suited for the wing. He could drive a lot more offense there. He's an expiring UFA, so it's not a super commitment. You're not getting married to the player. You're getting him for a year. Assuming Montreal eats 50% of his salary, $3.2 million. I think prorated, that's not even $1 million at the trade deadline. My historical comparison is in 2020 when Stastny was on an expiring contract, was traded to Winnipeg for Carl Dahlstrom. In other words, I think Dahlstrom was a 27-year-old 7th or 8th defenseman, a 4th-round pick. My Rangers equivalent is Leroy Hayek in a third. Oh, I'm out of breath. Joey D, ice cold. I'm throwing it to you, brother. What do you think about Sean Monahan if you're just spitballing?
So a couple things. I'm going to say no to Sean Monahan because the first thing is you're dealing with Jeff Gorton, right? And if you call Jeff Gorton, chances are he's going to get something good out of that. And it's probably not going to be Leroy Hayek. It's probably going to be somebody a little bit better, like just a little bit better, like Hunter Skinner in a third. That's not the end of the world, but I don't want to do business like that.
No.
And the other thing that I have a problem with is I know it's only 1 year left, $6.4 million on the cap hit. If you make that move, it's probably one of the only moves that you're going to make at a deadline.
Right.
I think if the Rangers are going to make one move and one move only for one player, then it's got to be for Patrick Kane. But if they're going to make multiple moves, Sean Monahan cannot be part of that. And
I agree.
I think depth players is going to be important. There's some guys here that I really like, and there's some guys here that I'm not going to say much about, like your next player.
Speaking of the next player, and yes, I agree with you, Sean Monahan. In my opinion, is not the move because, like you said, if you do get a guy like Sean Monahan, you can't really get anybody else, and he's really not gonna. He's not pushing you over to the edge. You know. The next player, however, Jonathan Drouin. Now, this is one that I'm like men's amends, you know, for all you Italians out there. I'm men's amends on this guy because you know what? Jonathan Drouin at one point was the hottest commodity on the market before Montreal acquired him from Mikhail Sergachev. Was the hottest man in the market. But you know what? Since he's been in Montreal, bit of a snooze fest. Had an okay first season. Had a decent second season, as you can see over here. The third season, good numbers. Got hurt. The fourth season, you know, half a point a game player, but only 2 goals. Like, what's going on there? Something smells. The fifth season, you know, decent numbers. Gets hurt. Goes into player assistant program. And now this season, he's playing 13.5 minutes. He's got 4 assists in 12 games. And it's like, you know, obviously Drouin has not worked out very well in Montreal. They probably should have moved on from him 3 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is he's an upcoming UFA. So in other words, you are not married to this player. He is here for this season only, unless you can somehow find a way to re-sign him. In my opinion, I see Jonathan Drouin as a medium risk, pretty damn high upside. I mean, you're talking about a guy that could seriously put up potentially point-a-game numbers if given the right line partners. I would just like to see like a speedy hands, you know, Jonathan Drouin with, say, I don't know, what's that Russian guy's name? Oh, right, Artemi Panarin, who seems to excel when you put speedy wingers with a good shot on his line. Just saying. My historical comparison for him would be something of a Marcus Johansson type when the Devils traded him to Boston for a second and a fourth. Being that Drouin has a super shaky injury history, is really not playing very much, and is honestly hyper undervalued right now throughout the league, I'd imagine the Rangers can get him for a third and a fifth. Joey D, talk to me.
I'd stay away from Jonathan Drouin too,
okay,
because we've always said since he was drafted, I'm proud of him for, you know, he's battled through so many things like the adversity. Like, you know, I think he was sent to the AHL at some point with Tampa Bay, and then he came back and he had a great season, and then he got traded, and then you mentioned he went to the what was the player assistance program?
Yeah, I don't know if it was substance or mental, but it was one of the two.
Well, either way, I mean, he's battled through a lot,
yes,
and you know, I'm proud of him for being able to overcome that. But I think the Rangers should stay clear because it's always been like, oh, he has high upside. He has high upside. It's been the thing since he was drafted in 2013. He was a top 3 pick, and it just hasn't panned out. So it's a risk, and I would rather use that third and a fifth on somebody else, like your next player. Can I go first
Go ahead.
on
yes.
Vladislav Gavrikov?
Yes, sir.
I think this is this would be a great move for the Rangers. A 6 defensemen at least. At least. Like,
Yep.
he survived the Tortorella era. And
Yes.
if you survive the Tortorella era, you're a damn good defenseman.
Hell yes.
You're a damn good defenseman because John Tortorella loves his defenseman. That's all he is.
Yes.
He's living, talking, walking defense. Seth Jones did not survive that in Columbus. Nope. He's terrible. Gavrikov has been a staple there for a while. And honestly, I feel like they could get a lot for him. And he's good. These numbers are great. I like that you said he's a 5-tool defender. I've never really heard that before. But honestly, I wouldn't even mind swapping one for one, Zach Jones for Vladislav Gavrikov. Because he's 25 now. He's around the same age as Brian Lindgren, right? So you could kind of lock him up there too, and it wouldn't be too expensive. I think out of all the defensemen I've seen, I like him the most. He makes the most sense.
Dude, I agree. I like that little Jones for Gavrikov action because I see Gavrikov as seriously, like, honestly the safest bet on this list. I mean, look, we'll look at his JFresh card really quickly. I mean, you talk about just efficiency in every category. The guy can do no wrong. He just excels at everything. He's a solid defenseman. He's a safe bet. And at the absolute worst, he's your third pairing defenseman on the left side, and he's a really good third pairing defenseman on Columbus teams that, let's be honest, really haven't done anything how long ago was Panarin and Duchesne there for the playoff run? Was that 4 years ago? 4 years ago now, right?
4 years ago?
Yeah. So so you're talking about a guy who's probably been the most reliable defenseman outside of Zach Werenski and probably the most reliable player outside of Zach Werenski since they made that playoff run. And like you said, he survived the Tortorella era. And mediocre defensemen do not make it through it. Good defensemen often do not make it through the John Tortorella era. And Gavrikov has become a staple over there. And I use Brendan Dillon as a comparison because when Brendan Dillon was in San Jose, it was a lot of the same that you see with Gavrikov. Bottom pair, middle pair, never more, never less, just does everything right, stuck it out, and got a second and a third round pick. I believe he was 26 or 27 at the deadline when he got acquired by Washington. It might be the only difference there, but same situation, expiring UFA. And, depending on what his ask is, could you see Gavrikov resigning here? I honestly could, especially if you run into cap casualties. Like, I know people don't want to hear it, but if Lindgren becomes a cap casualty, or pray to freaking God, Trouba becomes a cap casualty, feed me Gavrikov, dude. I think he would be awesome on this Rangers team. That's all I gotta say about that.
They need guys that could break the puck out.
Yes.
Like, there's too many guys. Right now, the Rangers are turning the puck over way too much. They cannot make basic passes. They cannot handle dump-ins, like easy dump. I'm talking, the other team is going for a line change. I'm going to talk about this on my podcast tomorrow, but I'll talk a little bit about it now. But I'm talking easy line changes. Like, they're going for line changes. They're dumping the puck in from center ice, from the red line, and they can't even handle it. They need guys that could, slow the game down, break the puck out, and do the easy stuff. Like, that's it. Basic stuff is what they need. I can't believe I'm saying that. How can NHL teams not do that? I don't understand that. But continue. Go to your next player.
That's a good point. Just to touch on that one last thing, getting the puck out of the zone. Holy shit, have the Rangers struggled with that. And this guy, moving on. Artem Zub. Basically, the poor man's Vladislav Gavrikov. That's just kind of the way I see it. Low cost, safe bet. He hits. He can get the puck out. He defends well. Excellent penalty killer. Kind of does everything right. Just men's amends. More of a Justin Braun, if anything else. But probably better than Justin Braun. Definitely a better skater than Justin Braun. Personally, considering his cap hit is literally the exact same, or maybe $300,000 less than Gavrikov, I'd rather trade the extra was a second round pick maybe, if even that, to get Gavrikov than to buy cheap on Artem Zub. But if someone else scoops up Gavrikov first, Artem Zub is not a bad backup option. What do you think?
I think he's a good defender, but I think he's more likely to re-sign in Ottawa than Gavrikov is to re-sign in Columbus, because I really love Ottawa's build. Like, I love the team that they have. You have Stutzla, and they just added Giroux and DeBrincat, and they have Jake Sanderson, Thomas Chabot. Like, they have a lot of talent there, and Zub is I think he's a fan favorite. Every time the Rangers play the Senators, and they're playing them tonight in Ottawa,
we'll see
you
him
might
soon.
hear Zub.
Yep.
And they love him there. So I have a good feeling that Ottawa is going to re-sign him. On the other hand, Tyler Motte, I think if you're letting me go on to the next player,
yes, sir.
Tyler Motte is great. He's a great fourth liner. He's everything the Rangers could want and hope for. They only traded a fifth for him last year, which is like the biggest trade in my eyes. Like loved Motte. Completely changed the penalty kill. Everybody started doing what you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, dude. The whole team
when they start
different.
hogging the puck. Start hogging the puck on the penalty kill.
Yep.
He's having a great year so far for the Senators, and they'd be smart to re-sign him. They really would.
Yep.
I hope they don't, and I hope the Rangers go back.
They need to.
and offer something for him. But if Motte does not become available, there are still some other options here that I do like that you put out. But go ahead. What do you got to say about Motte?
Dude, my biggest problem with the Rangers offseason was they did not re-sign Tyler Motte. The dude is making, I think, $100,000 more than what he made last season, and we opted to keep other players on the team instead of getting Tyler Motte. And I just think that was a huge mistake, and it is showing. Now that Reeves is gone, the fourth line looks a little bit faster, this, that, and the other thing. But listen, Carpenter's played well, but there's no way with a straight face anybody can tell me that you would take Ryan Carpenter over Tyler Motte. I would give up a lot to get Tyler Motte for my own personal life, to get him back on this team, because I miss him. Like you said, the penalty kill, the forecheck, the back check. The dude was a ball of energy that didn't stop. Tyler Motte, and I've used this before, Tyler Motte reminded me literally of Dominic Moore when he first came back to the Rangers in 2000. I believe it was the 2014 season when we first brought him back. He was just a ball of energy, a do everything. Penalty kill, run the fourth line, forecheck, back check, paycheck. He's just the jack of all trades, the master of none, a guy you need for the playoffs. Just a mother effer in every situation you put him in. And God, I miss this guy, man. I miss him so much.
Yep, he was good. Motte was good.
He's the
one
man.
of the best fourth liners we've had in recent years, for sure.
Such an L losing him. But moving on, I won't reminisce on the Tyler Motts of years past. Ivan Barbashev. This is a guy. Oh my! All right. So about Ivan Barbashev, aside from the fact that the Rangers drafted his younger brother, Maxime Barbashev, who is having a very good season in the Dub, this is another guy that is likely low cost. He's playing 15 minutes a night, so in other words, he's getting like what's the best way to explain it? He's getting a young top prospect's time under a David Quinn coach on steroids. He's not getting a whole lot of ice. He's not doing nearly as well as he did last season, 60 points. But Ivan Barbashev is, I kind of look at it as almost like an Andrew Kopp acquisition like we got last year. But you don't have to give up Andrew Kopp type assets to get Ivan Barbashev. Ivan Barbashev he can give you scoring, physicality, defense. He could give you anything. You put him in any situation. He's going to forecheck. He body checks hard. I like him very much. I almost see him as like a guy you could stick somewhere on the second line with Panarin or the top line with Zibanejad and Kreider, and he'll just do whatever you needed him to do. I see him more succeeding under a Panarin line. You put him with Panarin and Hedl or Panarin and Trocheck, whatever you need him to do, and he's going to be the power forward. He'll take the puck to the net. He could snap a pass. He could finish. He could forecheck. He can just do it all. You see last season, the dude had 60 points and 160 hits. The guy throws bod. He played 16-20. I'm a big Ivan Barbashev fan, and I think you can get him cheap. I'm using Marcus Johansson as another comparable. Washington traded Daniel Sprong. At the time, Daniel Sprong was not an asset. They were trading because he had value. They're trading him because they needed to open up a roster spot and make money. So he's traded from the Seattle Kraken to the Capitals for Sprong, a fourth and a sixth. You cut the difference. The Rangers offer a fourth and a fifth. If that gets you Ivan Barbashev, I don't see how you don't do this. He's on a very team-friendly deal, and if you acquire him and St. Louis eats 50% of his contract, assuming that St. Louis is going to continue to lose, then you could get 2 or 3 other depth guys on top of that. What do you think, Joey?
Barbashev is a good player, really good player. I like him as a third or a fourth liner.
Yeah.
So imagine, like, I was thinking, all right, so I'll spoil it now. I'll spill the beans. Like, Athanasiou you have on here.
Yes,
later
baby,
on.
yes.
So I was thinking, like, Athanasiou, Barbashev, Gauthier in the line. That'd be a great line.
Dude.
But the only problem is, like, if you get Barbashev and Athanasiou, what's going on with Goudreau? Like, where are you going to put Goudreau? Is that going to be – is Barbashev, Athanasiou, and Gauthier going to be your third line? Where does Hedl go? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do in that situation? So it's almost like you either get Barbashev or Athanasiou. I love everything that you said here about Barbashev. I don't know about the value. I'm sure I've talked to Craig Berube. He likes these kinds of players.
Yeah, dude, he does.
Absolutely loves Buchnevich. He's like on his knees, like thanking Chris Drury for gifting him that.
The mother effer.
Honestly, you could for some of these guys, you could straight up swap Sammy Blais for them. Like,
yeah, I would do
that. Like, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I would straight up swap Blais for Athanasiou. Like,
absolutely.
Because Blais, to me, hasn't worked out so far for the Rangers. Like, I don't get me wrong. I know that he's coming off of knee surgery, right? Last year, I loved like his style of play. I loved the time he spent with Lafreniere. I didn't like the time he spent with Kreider's at Banja. I don't think he was a good fit on that line.
Was not.
I did like how he was with Lafreniere, though. I thought that was a good fit.
They feed off each other.
Right. But so far this year, he has yet to find his game. I think he's running out of time with the Rangers. I think by the trade deadline, we're going to have a decision on whether or not he's going to stay. Because he's on a 1-year deal, Sammy Blais. I know we're talking about him instead of the trade deadline.
But it makes sense, though. I mean, it's a topic because Sammy Blais could be a guy that we move on from. I think the biggest problem with Sammy Blais, and you touched on it, I don't know how much he's recovered from that knee injury, dude. Last year, he was big and strong, but he didn't look, put it this way, saying it nicely. He looks a little bit heftier this year and a little bit slower. You're not seeing the Sammy Blais hands team that we saw last year. Do you remember that goal he scored in the preseason last year? Was it the Devils?
That too, yep.
Like,
that was filthy.
And the assists he had on the Lafreniere goal against Nashville early last year, like, Blais was all over the ice, and then you don't see it. He's a little bit too hulking, per se. A little bit too big. He lost a little bit of his speed and his pep, and, you know, like you said, you move on from Blais, and you somehow fit in Barbashev and Athanasiou. I don't know.
Yeah, there's too much. There's not enough speed on this roster for what they try to do in the bottom six. Gallant wants a dump and chase team in the bottom six, and there's not nearly enough speed. Carpenter and Sammy Blais are way too slow. Gauthier is the only one that could speed. Gauthier can sprint laps around the guys on the Rangers. Honestly, like, he could sprint laps around Panarin.
Yes, he's an athlete, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, the Rangers don't have any end-to-end skaters on the team besides Gauthier and Kreider. That's it. Hedl's a great skater. Trocheck's a great skater. But I'm talking, they need a haggling kind of guy.
Yes.
Like, that is nightmarish for opposing teams. You know how I was talking about how other teams dump the puck in from the red line?
Yep.
Well, if you have your team dump the puck in and Gautier's flying off the bench, straight from the bench, straight to the ozone, that's trouble. That's trouble. That's what I want.
Seriously, you're talking like 6'3", 6'4", 225 pounds of just oh god, he's a fucking
It's scary.
unit.
It's scary for opposing defenses. Like, that's what you need on the team. I know we covered Athanasiou as well, so I don't know if you're gonna have much to say about him when we get to him. But
well, let's see. That's Kulikov. We'll jump right to Kulikov real quick. It's another safety valve on defense. I honestly don't have much to say about Kulikov.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I think he's a safe backup option if Gavrikov doesn't work out. Because Kulikov, he's just a super safe bet, right? You could get him. So I put him as a bang for your buck acquisition because. So Anaheim got Kulikov for future considerations last year, which is the absolute equivalent of nothing. They might have given him a washing machine, maybe a bag of pucks. It was nothing serious. They got him for nothing. So I don't know how hard Anaheim clutches on to Kulikov, knowing he's 32 years old. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, and there is zero chance he's re-signed there. I'm sorry. If you're a 32-year-old in the NHL that hasn't won a cup, you're cup chasing. You're not going to stick with the 2-year, 3-year rebuild Anaheim. They know he's moving on. Get what you can for him. The only reason I compare him to McQuaid when the Rangers traded him to Columbus. The only reason I throw Hayek in there is because you would need to open up a roster spot on defense. And maybe it's just me, but I don't see Zach Jones for Kulikov going through on the Rangers end. So I figured, Hayek in a 5th, maybe even Hayek in a 7th just to push it through and make it more even on the Rangers end. But then again, I'm not really sure exactly how Anaheim values Kulikov. And if there's going to be other bidders, I just see him as a safe bet and a backup for Gavrikov. You got anything to say on this guy, Joey?
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I remember the days when he was rumored to go to the Rangers back when he was on Florida, when he was younger.
Yes.
Or maybe even on Winnipeg.
Yes.
Actually, that was after. Was after because I remember it was like Florida might trade Kulikov to the Rangers, and then he did get traded to Winnipeg.
Right.
But yeah, that I don't have much to say on Kulikov. I think Gavrikov's a better option there.
100%. Just a safe
Nick
bet.
Bonino is a good bottom 6 forward. Although I don't understand these J Fresh cards. Like sometimes I look on Hockey Stat Reference, and his Corsi 4 is below 50%. So
yes.
How does I don't know, and his expected goal share is negative. So I don't know how that is 50%, but I know he's done well in the playoffs. He's been on some good teams like Nashville, Pittsburgh. He's a great faceoff taker.
The HBK line.
They use him in the defensive zone a lot.
Yes.
He'd be a good 4th line forward for the team.
Absolutely. Almost like Tyler Mott on steroids.
Right, yeah. And he's got so his deal is expiring.
Yes. This card's a year old. Okay.
So that wouldn't be too bad. I still would prefer Athanasiou over I know Athanasiou has no defense or whatever. But the Rangers need some offense to stretch out their lineup.
Yeah. A little bit too slow in the forward core.
Yeah, for sure. Bonino is would be a good penalty killer too for the Rangers.
100%.
That's one of those I feel like you could wait closer to the deadline to see if you want to make a move for Bonino, because if a guy becomes available, it's almost the same thing as Kulikov. Why would Bonino stay with San Jose? He's 33.
100%. Dude wants to win, and San Jose is in less than a position to try to win this season. They might beat up on the Rangers in overtime, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All right. Andreas Athanasiou.
I said what I had to say about this guy, but you go ahead.
This is my boy right here. This is a guy that I've wanted to be on the Rangers for quite a long time now. Andreas Athanasiou, in terms of, I don't want to use the word lower echelon because I don't want to be insulting, but in terms of players that aren't as expensive as players are about to become on this list, I think Athanasiou is my favorite target. I mean, I literally wrote it down. Speed. Speed and what was that third thing? Speed. He draws penalties 97%. In other words, the dude does not take penalties. He simply draws them. Low cost, high upside. He's an expiring UFA, so you don't need to re-sign him if you can't. And the guy just does everything. He's like Julian Gauthier, but faster somehow, and actually scores consistently. Andreas Athanasiou, you can put him on the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. You can put him anywhere. Put the damn guy in. I'm kidding, don't put him in net. But still, the guy could do everything. Honestly, I look at his, what it would cost to get him as close to what the Rangers got for Vatrano. Now, granted, the Rangers got Vatrano because Florida was in a bit of a cap conundrum, but I don't envision you having to pay too much more for Athanasiou. I'm not sure his numbers this year, but he's not a point a game. I don't even believe he's half a point a game. But, dude, who knows? And I'm going to use the Panarin line thing again. You just, Panarin loves to pass. Adam Fox loves to pass. Adam Fox and Artemi Panarin are really good at stretch passing. You know what kind of players are great for stretch passes? Ones that are so fast they blow by the defense before the defense even sees them. I think Athanasiou will be a great pickup, and he's my number 1. So that's all I got to say about Athanasiou. That's my guy.
I agree with that. Yeah, he's my favorite on this list that you have here.
Dude, he is the man. Now this guy.
This was interesting. I did not think about this. Yeah, this is pretty interesting, and I do I do like that comparison too. Like, we all thought Taylor Hall was going to go for a lot more, but historically, yep,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
It fits there, but I don't know if St. Louis would be willing to part with a guy like that. Like Tarasenko is almost like a lower risk version of Patrick Kane.
Yes.
I don't know. It's like in that same conversation, you would almost definitely put him on Panarin's right wing.
100%.
You would have to. I kind of like that.
Could be scary.
I think Rangers Town would be more willing to have the conversation of Tarasenko to the Rangers than Patrick Kane to the Rangers.
Right.
And then what they would potentially offer, what you have here, I don't have any problems with this. Depends on which first round pick you're giving up. So.
Of course. I think you offer the lower, not the lower, I mean, not the higher one. In other words, the pick closer to 30. Not the pick closer to 1 for your first round pick.
Yeah, you could throw in some conditions on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think Skinner would probably leave a little bit to be desired if you're St. Louis.
Yes.
The C-level prospect would be fine. Robertson is fine in that deal too. Again, I don't know if St. Louis would be willing to blow it all up because, it's interesting because they do have a lot of great players on there. They have a good core. They have a great core. I love Jordan Kyrou is good. Robert Thomas is great. Pavel Buchnevich. I don't know if they want to blow that thing up. I know there was talks that Tarasenko might get traded. Why? Like why? He's okay. So is this card old?
So this card's a year old, and this card was posted, I believe, when it was announced that he did not rescind his trade request that he made in 2019-2020.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't know where he's at with the organization. So maybe if he does indeed ask out, then maybe think about it for the Rangers. Maybe.
Now the only issue I have with Tarasenko is unlike Patrick Kane, who has a full no movement clause and will decide where he goes, Tarasenko does not. So essentially Tarasenko's on the open market and there will be a bidding war, and that's mostly why I put Taylor Hall on that list. If you recall, the year that the Kraken entered the league, Vladimir Tarasenko was waived. I'm sorry, it was left exposed and was not claimed.
Yes.
I believe he was waived as well, and nobody claimed him. So that could drive the price down a little bit, but you're still talking about a guy that's good for 40 goals, 40 assists on the right line. He essentially carried St. Louis before the arrival of Ryan O'Reilly. Tarasenko, I mean, you're talking like a serious elite player you're bringing to the table here.
For sure.
Big Tarasenko. I've always loved Tarasenko. One of my first videos that ever got a lot of attention was when I did Pavel Buchnevich compared to Tarasenko compared to Evgeny Kuznetsov. So I've always had attachment to Tarasenko, and if we could pry him, we could pry him. If not, we got other guys on this list. Speaking of funny guys, Jonathan Toews stopped the bus. Now, Jonathan Toews, this is God, where do I begin? Jonathan Toews, you're talking about a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. He's won everything you can win with Canada, with Team Canada. At this stage in his career, maybe a middle 6 center, but you're talking high defense, high offense upside. The guy is almost 65% in the dot this year. So in other words, his percentage in the faceoff dot is just about my physics grade the first time through physics. So pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. He's an expiring UFA. He's got a full no movement clause, so he decides where he goes. He probably won't be too expensive for that reason. The issue is going to be convincing him to waive his no movement clause. I think he'll do it if Chicago continues to, for lack of a better word, suck. And if the Rangers are looking for someone to bring to play the middle of the ice, to push Hedl to the wing, Jonathan Toews could be a safe option. I used Eric Staal as a comparison because Eric Staal was in Carolina forever and was seemingly only willing to waive for the New York Rangers, so they got a bit of a discount on him. We're not going to talk about how Eric Staal worked out for the Rangers, but we're going to use him and where he sat with his organization and with the trade market and with the Rangers, and that the Rangers could probably get him for 2 second-round picks and a C prospect. Honestly, possibly less, because to this point in Tays' career, he's had some serious injury issues to where Eric Staal, when he was with Carolina, did not. And is coming off, I think, I want to say Tays has missed 40 games in the past 2 or 3 years. So he's missed a lot of time that could drive his value down. And again, if he's only willing to wait for a handful of teams, there probably won't be a big bidding war for him. As much as I like Tays, I think there's better options. But Joey D, let me throw it to you. What do you think?
I think it's a great option for the Rangers. If you want to push that helps the conversation that I was having before with you about Athanasiou and Barbashev on the same line. You would just move Hedl to the wing, and whatever other line mate is there, you could throw Goudreau in there, and then you still have 2 slots open on the 4th line.
Right.
Which would be good. Right. That's what I want. So like Tays, he's been there, he's done that, he's done everything. Yes. He's done everything. Say what you want about like the 2010 team or whatever issues that they had. The guy knows what it takes to win. 57% face off.
Dude, is that
for the last 5 years?
Is that crazy?
Outrageous. You're gonna start with the puck on every puck drop. Like
seriously,
57% of his face-offs result with the puck going in his team's favor.
Yes.
What you do with the puck afterwards is up for discussion, but starting with it is always a good starting point. Like this is good. Honestly, if the Rangers do this, I hope that they would just use him in a 3rd line role and not put him on in the top 6. Like this would be a perfect 3rd line center. Defensively, offensively, like he could score points. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't slowed down even despite the injuries. Like he's having a good year so far, right?
Having a really good year. I love that I cut off the games played. I think he's got 18 or 19 games played, so he's close to a point a game.
I like the Staal for 2 seconds comparison.
It makes sense. It makes sense for where he's at in his career. And you know, I got a funny little feeling about Jonathan Toews. I wonder if the Rangers acquire him and things go well, if he would re-sign here and re-sign for pennies on the dollar to make it work. Like maybe $1 million a year for 2 years. He's made his money.
That's a stretch, man. No way.
Dude, I mean, look, hey, Marty St. Louis, prior to getting injured, said that he would re-sign with the Rangers for pennies on the dollar. Now, what pennies on the dollar was, I'm not sure. But you wonder, a guy like Jonathan Toews, so what he made 10.5 times 8. So he's coming off a contract where he made $84 million. He's made over $100 million in his career. If he's really wanting to cup chase, is he really going to want $5 million a year again? I don't know. I'm just throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks. I don't want to put words in Toews' mouth, but you never know. It could be a weird thing. You never know.
Yeah, I see. I could see it happening, but I don't think it will. I don't know.
The problem is with the taxes in New York. If you sign for $1 million, he's probably going to bring home $13.78. But still.
For real.
He can get a foot long, and he just won't be able to tip us all. Now, this is the guy that I put a lot of stock into, because if St. Louis shits the bed and they decide, you know what, we're going to suck this year, let's move on. Man, I mean, you're talking about how good Jonathan Toews was a couple years ago. You're a guy that was top 5 in Selke voting each of the last 4 years and was top 11 in each of the last 7 or 6 years, however long. Either way, Ryan friggin' O'Reilly, the guy we thought the Rangers were going to get when he left Colorado, who went to Buffalo, who went to St. Louis and won a cup, and was literally nicknamed The Factor. So in other words, if you're called The Factor, you're the guy. You're pretty badass, and you're probably doing everything. And the thing about Ryan O'Reilly is he's not only the jack of all trades, he's the master of some. He might not win faceoffs 65% of the time like Jonathan Toews, but last year, 56.8. The year before that, 58.8. He had a 60% season there. He's always winning faceoffs. And I use the Eric Staal comparison again alongside of, excuse me, choking on my own spit like Ricky Bobby. The Andrew Ladd to Chicago. You're talking about a leader in Winnipeg getting traded to Chicago for a first and Marco Danos, like a B prospect and a first. The Eric Staal, second, Sorella. So we need some middle ground here. Well, if St. Louis wants futures, Vitaly Kravtsov, that opens up a roster spot, a first-round pick, and either a mid-round pick or like a C prospect. A little bit pricey, but it's a guy nicknamed The Factor on a Stanley Cup winning team that was pretty fucking stacked. Joey D, talk to me. Wait, what
Ryan O'Reilly, honestly, is one of my favorite players. I think he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why St. Louis would ever want to give him up. I don't know how old he is right
Mm-hmm.
now, but it would take a haul.
It would.
A haul to get him out of St. Louis for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's under contract for a while, isn't he?
Expiring UFA after this season. I forgot to include that.
Really?
Upcoming
Okay.
UFA.
So he was signed to an extension a long time ago then.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he signed that.
Mm-hmm. I think it was 7.5 times 5. Something like that.
Okay.
It was good money.
Yeah, so I'd love to have Ryan O'Reilly. Definitely wouldn't be a third liner for the Rangers. He'd have to be you would have to put him on the second line, put Trocheck on the third line, and then whoever is on your right wing.
Yes.
For second line.
Which is not a bad thing, by the way.
It is expensive, though. That's an expensive top 9, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Trocheck on the third line is... I know, I always say, like, it all depends on the ice time. Like, I don't care who's on the third line as long as they're getting ice time. I don't care how much the third liner's making.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have a problem with Barclay Goodrow making 3.6 playing on the fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
If that's where he fits best on the team.
Right.
There's nothing you could do to change the price tag once it's already signed.
Absolutely.
There's nothing you could do. Sorry. So, O'Reilly would have to be in the top 6 for sure.
Absolutely. I think he's good enough to be in the top 6 too. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's been close to point games.
No. I'm not saying it's not a question of if he's good or not.
Right.
I'm just saying that it would push Trocheck down.
Mm-hmm. It would. It'd be a funny pickup, but it would be pretty damn dangerous for the Rangers. You could see some other teams in the Metro Division maybe puckering their buttocks a little bit, seeing the Rangers bring in a guy like O'Reilly. That would be some serious shit.
Now, for your next guy, Bo Horvat, I know we're getting close to game time. So I guess we could kind of pick it up here a little bit. But I think there was a rumor a few off seasons ago, not last off season, the off season before that the Rangers were offering Buchnevich straight up for Bo Horvat.
Yep.
I was screaming to do this. I'm like, why would people not want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going to now, especially with the new after like finding out that Buchnevich didn't want to stay.
Yep.
Why not for Bo Horvat?
Seriously.
Like, perfect. They could have solved their second line center position right there, and they could have traded Strome right then and there for first round pick. Like after they traded Buchnevich straight up for Horvat.
Yep.
I would have loved that. I think he's a great player.
It does everything.
Great play. Yes. I think that would be good. As of right now, though, I don't see where he would fit on the Rangers because they have Trocheck.
Exactly, and you're not going to put Bo Horvat on the wing. The guy's winning faceoffs at almost a 60% clip. It's unlikely. He's an expiring UFA. I threw it out there, and to tell you the truth, I think he'd end up being a little bit too expensive for the Rangers' taste, anyways. Especially when there's other players that they could get for a little bit cheaper.
And I will, to the end of time, Elias Pettersson. The Rangers should have gone after him.
What a mistake not trading up! What a mistake not trading up in that draft.
They should have gone after Eichel for sure. They should have gone through with whatever trade they had, whatever Buffalo was asking. As long as it didn't include Fox or Lafreniere, or Shesterkin, do it. Honestly, because that guy is great.
Sign me up.
Chychrun.
This is your boy.
Yes, I love that you did the historical comparison because how could you not be reminded of the Keith Yandel thing? Like, Kravtsov is 2015 Anthony Duclair.
Yep, exactly.
Duclair couldn't crack the lineup. Kravtsov is struggling to crack the lineup. First round pick, second round pick. We traded John Moore, a guy we had hoped would become something. Zach Jones, we are hoping he becomes something. Keith Yandel was the guy, power play merchant for the Coyotes. He was awesome. 50-point defender. The Rangers absolutely needed a quarterback power play defender at the time. The Rangers don't need a power play quarterback this year. They do need a top four defenseman would be good in the long run. However, I still think that the Rangers need to improve their forward depth before they even look at their defense.
Absolutely.
Either a forward, a bottom six forward, or a bottom pair defenseman.
Yes.
So Athanasiou and Gavrikov for me, I think are home run trades.
Yes.
If you could get Patrick Kane, then then I would do that and then have the kid line and Panarin, Trocheck, Kane, something like that. You know what I mean?
Holy shit.
Or you could even have Panarin, Hedel, and Kane, and then put Lafreniere, Trocheck, and Kakko together, or Lafreniere, Trocheck, and Gauthier, or something like that. Something like that, and keep Panarin or Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko together.
Right. Gives you you got options.
Yeah.
Speaking of options,
that sums up my stuff for Patrick Kane, and Timo Meier is not going anywhere. There's no way the Sharks are going to trade him. He's way too good. He's too young.
The only thing I have on Timo Meier why I think they'd let him go is so he's an RFA after this season. Here's the issue with Timo Meier being an RFA this year. His qualifying offer is $10 million. And if he wants out of San Jose, which is what's rumored to be true, he's going to sign that qualifying offer and just become a UFA next year. And now therein lies the issue. If it's true that Meier wants out of San Jose, and they would trade him, and a team that acquires him could maybe sign him to an offer. I don't see it being the Rangers unless they make a big move and move out salary going the other way. Like it would have to be like a Kakko trade. This is a long shot.
It's like Hurdle from last year.
Yes.
I don't think.
Yeah, that's
everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like the meme, like when everything is perfect, when society is perfect, and like there's the flying cars and stuff.
Yes.
Like for the analytics community, for the analytics people, if everything was perfect, Hurdle would be on the Rangers right now.
Yes.
And this is the same thing this year. If everything was perfect, Timo Meier would be on the Rangers. Like he's a great player.
He is.
Obviously, it would take way more than the first, second Robertson and Kravtsov.
It would. It would.
70-point upside. The guy is arguably their best forward.
Yes.
Him and Hurdle are like a dynamic duo. Like they've been great together. Those two players are great for the Sharks. You would want to hold on to a guy like this. If he wants out though, then it's an interesting conversation to have. It is like he second line right winger.
The one thing I'm afraid of is that the Islanders are going to make a move for him.
Let them trade for Patrick Kane.
Yeah, seriously. Speaking of Patrick Kane, last but not least, Patrick freaking Kane. I mean, you're talking about a top forward in the NHL. He's won 3 cups. Keep the change. Kane Panarin connection. He's got a full no movement clause. So in other words, he's picking where he wants to go. And from what it seems, from what we've all gleaned from the media, he's really only willing to go to the Rangers. Now, we don't know if that to be true. But if that is the case, he'd only waive for the Rangers. The Rangers have Chicago by this. What does this mean? The balls. So in other words, it's Chicago. We'll give you this, this, and this to make it fair. Take it or leave it. Fine. If not, you think Patrick Kane's re-signing in Chicago to lose for another few more years? They traded his boy DeBrincat. Duncan Keith retired. Seabrook's retired. He's got no one left on this team. There's no way in hell he's staying in Chicago. So it's here. He's got a full no-move clause. He wants to come here. We'll give you this. Send him my way. We'll make it work. And then the Rangers fans just sit back, watch Kane and Panarin do what they do best. Score hundreds of points a season. And hopefully bring the Rangers to a Stanley Cup. Because I think we could all use that emotionally.
I have heard, though, that his actual goal rate is the only good thing this year. And, the analytics people hate him.
Yes.
They don't like him.
Awful analytic player. His JFresh card is like 3% or 4%. It's ridiculous. Right,
yeah. But we know what he's able to do offensively. Like, you look at the points he put up last year. He put up more than 60 points. He still got
60 assists.
Yeah, 60 assists.
Yes, 92 points. Monster.
If you put him with Panarin, one of those two guys is going to figure out a way to shoot because they were so comfortable with each other. Honestly, I love Patrick Kane. I'd love to see him in a Rangers sweater. I want to see the Rangers make the depth moves first if they have to.
I think they should.
I would honestly trade for Athanasiou and Gavrikov like right now.
Absolutely.
As we're speaking. The Rangers need help. No one trade is gonna save this team the way they're playing. They're gonna have to get themselves out of a rut. I have the game on in the background right now. But they have to dig themselves out of their hole they're in first before they could even start having this conversation of Patrick Kane. Because if they don't, let's say they trade for Patrick Kane right now and they don't make the playoffs, it's a waste wasted trade.
Absolutely.
It's a wasted trade. You cannot do that. That's a trade deadline day acquisition.
Yes.
That's week of, day of. Athanasiou, Gavrikov are trades that they could make right now.
Yes. That would be big helps right now, especially because, as we touched on earlier, the Rangers' depth is, dude, it's hard to watch. And the problem is, when your depth is that bad, all teams have to do is shut down your top 2 lines and your top pair defense, and they have nothing else to worry about. And it's not a knock on the guys in the Rangers' bottom 6 right now. It's just they're not getting it done. They're not. It's hard to watch.
You're right. Yep. Not coming through. So hopefully they could figure it out so that we could start having this conversation.
Yes.
Of whether or not they're gonna make this trade.
Fingers crossed, dude. I think we could both agree that the perfect trade deadline, if salary circumvention is possible to be done, would be if the Rangers could find a way to get Gavrikov, Athanasiou, Barbashev's a stretch to throw into that mix, and Patrick Kane. Where those guys are going to fit in, I don't know. It's going to take a lot of moving. Is it likely? Probably not. But I think from what we've gleaned from this video is that Gavrikov and Athanasiou should be priority numero uno because the Rangers need depth. And if the depth works out, why not Patrick Kane?
Right.
All right?
Exactly. Yep.
Ladies and
Good
gentlemen,
stuff, Nick.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a stream. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We did pretty good today. We might have had 100 concurrent viewers. That was good, guys. That was awesome. That was a lot of... Oh, we did good. We did good. We had a bunch of people in here. Guys, thank you all so much for coming out and watching. You know I have a blast doing this. Shout out to Joey D coming out, hanging out, having a good time, talking Rangers, trade deadline acquisitions. The Rangers are on now. We're playing Ottawa. If we lose this game, punt the season. Give me Bedard. I'm just kidding. Or am I? I'm just kidding. Guys,
yeah,
thank
so
you.
Bedard could be on the 4th line for 1 point in 12 games.
Bedard, Kako, and Lafreniere on the 4th line. Put VC in the top 6. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Shout out to Joey D. Follow him at Icecoldtakes Podcast on Twitter. Get him on the socials. If you're not following him, you're missing out. Guys, thank you all for watching. Love you all. See you in the next one. Peace. Another successful stream